Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is behind the steel curtain editor Dave Schofield coming at you. It's just after 9 o'clock. It's Tuesday night. You're a Steelers fan. Where else are you going to be? I'm waiting for it to kick in for you two because I can't throw it over yet until I'm sure we're on the channels. Everyone's able to jump in because I have to say, with me as always is my big brother Rich. Rich, I know we did the Scho Bro Road Show, but this is the first Scho Bro Show since.
I know.
How's it going tonight?
So we will breathe in that smell of victory.
Yeah,
got to do it at home. We got to do it in the stadium, which is awesome to be able to do it in the stadium. But
yes, breathing in the Heinz Field air. And some people are like, "Oh, it probably smells," or like there's beer. No, it's an open air stadium. It smells exquisite.
You get a little bit of that river smell.
Yeah, a little bit of that river smell.
I must say, Pittsburgh. See, you probably don't even remember, but Pittsburgh overall smells much better than it did early. Around that 1980, 81 time frame.
Yeah, that was before my time.
Yeah.
So, before we even bring up a super chat, we got a super chat already. My goodness. Yes. But before we do that, you breathe in the sweet smell of victory. It's great. We were there together. We're going to talk about that plenty because if we're going to break down this game, I still have not watched the rebroadcast. I have not. I kind of didn't want to before this show, but I've also haven't had time trying to get Christmas stuff going and everything else. It's on my agenda here soon, but I kind of like this the in-stadium feel. There's not a lot to be excited about the game. Normally a Steelers win, you want to go back and watch those highlights. Other than some takeaways and a key stop, there wasn't a lot of highlights. But before I do that, I have to do this. We have to wish a fantastic, wonderful, one-day belated birthday to Scho 2.0.
Yes.
Hashtag pay Kyle. Kyle's birthday was yesterday, and it was a big one. It was a big one. Not like bad. It's not the big 5-0, but it was an important one. So happy birthday, Kyle. Just had to throw that out there.
That's right. So that was nice too, especially after he covered the knee-jerk reaction story for me.
Yes, Kyle and Bad were holding down the knee-jerk reaction article. I thought they did a fantastic job. It was a lot of Kyle and a little bit of you could tell the bad influences in places. You could tell, just a difference between 5-0 and 1-6. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So but I loved it. I made sure I checked that out. But here we go. We've got a super chat. We've got a $2 super chat from Steel Dog 88. Thank you for $2 in the tip jar. Says, here we go, Scho Bros. Here we go. Streak is alive. That's correct. You and I, every time we are sitting in section 122, row Q, seats 16 and 17, you and 16, me and 17.
Correct.
The Steelers have not lost a game. So you are welcome, Steelers Nation. As ugly as the Steelers played a lot of the game, that's on us. You're welcome. I think we willed that ball to Joe Schobert. I was
the other Scho Bro
helmet. If I would have been wearing the helmet, I would have been, using the force to help Joe Hayden with that tackle because that was right in front of us. Yeah. We'll talk about that play here in a little bit. But great, really great in-stadium experience. Anything you want to say that as we get into it?
Well, no. Do you want to go into part of what made our experience even cooler the other day?
Well, that's what I was going to. I was definitely going to roll. I was just going to let you talk a little bit first, and that is getting to meet some of you all. Now, the first person that we met was Andre from Ohio, and here's the thing about Andre: never been in a live chat. He says he's never caught a live show, but he listens to every show on YouTube after the fact at work. So if you're listening to this when you're at work there, Andre, we want to say thanks for coming. It was fantastic to meet you. Yep. I had a picture, put our picture out on my Twitter account. Great to meet you, and hope you have a Merry Christmas. And I'm very glad that you got to see a Steelers victory. So that's one. Then the other was from our live chat.
Although I haven't seen him here yet tonight.
I haven't seen him yet.
He's fired.
He's home from school, so he's probably operating on a different schedule. So because I know he's in grad school, but that was Tyler W. If you didn't check out the shows, they're on our YouTube channel. Go back and check them out. Tyler W. was there for us for the pregame Scho Bro Road Show and the postgame Scho Bro Road Show. I almost screwed up the name. But it was really great to meet him. He came back down to do the show with us afterwards, which really helped to make sure we made it worthwhile for you all. And it was just a really good time. Now, Rich, tell me how you felt about all that.
About what? Being everybody or the game? What am I talking about now?
No, just getting to meet up with people.
Actually, the other cool thing that happened was to find out that dad and his son that have the season tickets behind you. Telling them what we were doing with Tyler, and only come to discover that although they don't listen to any of our podcast stuff, they read the articles on the site, and that dad in particular was a fan of my knee-jerk reaction article.
We're like
just cool stuff.
Because the knee-jerk reaction articles, that's a pretty infamous article.
I feel like the 1979 Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
We are family.
I want to bring up a comment here from Facebook. This was Aaron A-Dub. This was someone who I was hoping. I know that at one point he was saying he was going to be there. Would have liked to try to catch up. He said, great atmosphere. He was only 2 sections over from us in section 120.
He was over there towards the corner.
Yep, that's over. That I know, and the back of 120, that's the family section and everything. So we walked through section 120 when we got out of there on our way out, did we, Rich?
Yep.
But it was empty by the time we did that after the show. So would have been nice to meet you, Aaron. But more importantly, you got to watch Steelers victory. Whoo, Steelers victory. Rich, the more I think back at this one, and this is why the title of the show is what it is. Brian's like, hey, what's your title? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, talking about how although there's lots of things to nitpick that you don't like about the Steelers team, what mattered is that they managed to pull out a win. So the title of tonight's show is W was the only letter that matters now for the Steelers. Okay. Didn't matter about the O. Didn't matter about the D. Didn't matter who was coming through. Didn't matter if one was covering for the other one.
Didn't matter what grades you want to hand out to people or units or things like that. What mattered was W.
Now, I also think that the Steelers, even though they got that W, they know that they still have things to improve on. There is no way the Steelers offense is satisfied with that performance. There is no way that defense, although they had the 4 takeaways, is satisfied with surrendering 201 rushing yards.
Yeah, no.
So that's the thing. It's one of those games where you gutted it out, but but you're not feeling like it's all good. We've got this figured out. Do you think that's a fair way to say it?
That game was doing what had to be done just enough to get a win. Yeah. That's what that game was.
Exactly. So, and they're like, oh, well, the Steelers, they won that one ugly. Look at, maybe some of what the other teams in the AFC North, 2 teams lost, 2 teams won. One was the Steelers, one was the Bengals. And they're like, oh, well, the Steelers, well, they beat the team that if Tennessee wins that game, they're the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
They're still the number 3 team in the AFC. So one thing, it's important to get the W, and it's important to not be happy with what you're doing, but you also have to remember the reason Tennessee is up there. Yes, they might have at times some easier places on their schedule, and yes, they have lost to some inferior teams as they've gone along, but they're one of the better teams in this conference. And when they have all their players on defense, especially their defensive front, which they did in this game because they got Bud Dupree back, who just helps, I know several Titans fans, what they say about Bud Dupree is the infamous Jerry Maguire. You complete me. That's what he does to their defensive front.
I don't like to think of that as the Jerry. I don't like to think that as the Jerry Maguire.
I know you're thinking, show me the money.
No. If you're going with the you complete me,
yeah.
Oh, it's Dr. Evil and Mini Me.
Yeah, there you go. That's the much better reference.
Oh,
much
yes.
better reference. I'm sorry. Their version of "It's a Hard Knock Life" will always be my favorite.
Me too.
So it was a good defense they were going against. Granted, you still got to be able to do something against that good of a defense. That defense was put in such terrible positions. I mean, my goodness, they gave up the last 6 points they gave up. They never surrendered a first down.
Right.
But they still gave up 6 points, which was the difference in the game. So, where do you want to start, Rich? What do you want to talk about first here?
I don't know, talk about a few of the things you can hang your hat on from that game and say, hey, that was fantastic. And number one's got to be the turnovers. We haven't seen a lot of multiple turnover games from the Steel, where the defense has turned to the other team over. And we got 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that, to me, it's like, hey, if we could start getting some more of those takeaways or getting them in bunches like we did that game, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now here's the thing. If you go into a game banking on having to have a +4 turnover margin in order to win, you're not going to win a lot of games.
No, you're not.
But that was a game that they needed a +4 turnover margin in order to win. But even if it was some people are like, oh, well, what if it was +3? You didn't get the last field goal. Then they would have been kicking at the end rather than going for it on 4th down. It changed everything. So, on Jeff Hartman's Let's Ride on Monday, I love what he said. It was the winners and losers episode. If you haven't caught it, make sure you catch that. It's always great stuff. But he said at the time he recorded it, he was staying away from Steelers Twitter because the last thing you wanted to hear was everybody poo-pooing the victory because, well, they wouldn't have won if they wouldn't have had four turnover or 4 takeaways. You know what? They did have 4 takeaways and they did win. So if you want to poo-poo on it, poo-poo it on all you want. They did what they had to do to win that game.
Yes.
And that's what it took to win that game. They might need 4 takeaways to win a different game. They might need more production from their offense. That's what they'll need for that game. But for this game, they got what they needed to get the W.
Yeah, because you knew that the Titans defense was solid.
Yeah.
And actually, I think you and I talked about it on the drive home then. Well, at least I brought it up. It was like, you'd kind of been – we thought coming into the season that the defense was going to help propel the team to these types of wins more often.
Yeah.
And this really was the first one where you can say, man, the defense won us that game.
I'm going to say the second one.
Oh,
it's the first one since week 1,
yes.
Honestly, because the defense, but, now in that game, the offense had to get rolling.
Yes.
I mean, this one was more than week 1. Week 1, you could say it. This one was even to a higher level.
Yes.
No game was at this level.
Correct.
The defense had to keep them in that week 1 game against Buffalo and continue to get the job done while the offense finally got rolling in the second half. This one, the offense never got rolling. All they had to do was not turn the ball over and kick the field goals when they got the takeaways. That was 4 takeaways. The worst field position of any of the 4 was the Titans' 41-yard line.
Yep.
They had them all. Now, the interception was actually occurred in Steelers territory, but they returned it far enough. Yeah. So they were set up very well.
And that was the play that lost me my voice.
Yeah.
which by the way, I didn't tell you this before we started. I had almost no voice yesterday.
That's what's great about Steelers games.
Went to bed last night, got up this morning, and had some recovery of voice. So
yes. Yeah, but see, you also got to tip your hat to the Steelers defense. You're like, oh, you let them run the ball. It was kind of a bend but don't break. Think about it. The only touchdown drive the Titans had was set up by a big punt return with a penalty added on top. Like, still can't figure out. You know, Charlie Batch was talking about it on the postgame show we were listening to on the radio driving home about how do you get a block in the back when you're the team that's basically on defense at that time.
I like Stan Savern's answer to that.
Yeah, Stan gave the right answer though.
That's been put in. That's been put in for safety purposes.
Safety purposes. Yep.
You just don't see it happen that often.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it called in it, but I'm not watching every play of every other game in the NFL.
Right.
But that set them up. They got the ball at the 25-yard line. Now, if that's the case, you would have liked to see the defense, dig in their heels and only give up 3. They gave up the 7. And they made, I remember they were fighting and barely getting third down conversions on a couple, on at least one time in that drive. And then how crazy is that? I think someone threw this in the live chat earlier, and I've obviously lost it by now. When's the last time there was only 2 touchdowns in a game and they were both quarterback sneaks?
Right.
One by each team, in particular. Ben Roethlisberger had a crazy streak. Was it 37, 40? I can't remember. There's a 7 in there somewhere of consecutive games of throwing a touchdown where he did not throw a touchdown in this game. But he still scored one. So, I don't know if you checked out my By the Numbers article because I referenced it there. Do you remember the last time Ben Roethlisberger had a rushing touchdown?
Hold on. I know it was like 2017.
Steeler chick, I knew that was you to put it in there. I just couldn't actually find the question anymore to bring it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 2017. 17? I don't know. When's the last time he rushed the ball for a touchdown?
I'm pretty sure it was 18, but I remember the game. Who was the lineman? He ran into Matt Filer and almost didn't get in the final seconds against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. So it was 2018. It was the year after Jacksonville beat them the 2 times. Once in the regular season, once in the playoffs. And it was that touchdown that Roethlisberger scored with like 5 seconds left in the game. If you guys remember that one. So that was the last time he had a rushing touchdown. So I thought that was pretty good. So that was interesting to see it go down that way. But if you think about it, the Titans gained more yards than the Steelers, but the Steelers did a good job of stopping drives either by takeaways or in the first half holding them to field goals twice. That was big when they held them to field goals those 2 times. But obviously, I'm going to ask you
that touchdown drive. I actually just peeked because I remember there was a play in there that I hated where we gave up a third down. Remember they had a 3rd and 8, and and they had to check it down just behind the line to the running back who broke 2 tackles to make the first.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was so angry. I was like, we needed to hold it to a field goal there.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We won the game. That's all that matters.
Hey, all that matters is the W. Okay. All that matters is the W. So here was my question to you. 4 takeaways. Obviously, one of them was a mess up by Tennessee. That was the fumbled snap.
The fumble snap.
How does the outside linebacker recover a fumbled snap?
Oh, you didn't get back
under center snap.
Didn't you see what happened?
It got knocked, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the guard pulled and kicked it, and then it hit off of somebody else and rolled right back at
far.
No.
Yeah.
But what happened was the right guard was pulling, and he hit it towards the left side of the line, and it hit off of somebody else and came right back behind the center. It came back Tannehill started after started to go after the ball after it kicked off the guard, and it actually came back past him. And of course, TJ's typically headed where?
At the quarterback.
Toward the quarterback. And
not only that, what really helped TJ recover that is they were all blocking down. Everyone was blocking away from TJ. So that's his obvious flow. So he was flowing right away. I don't know about you. I saw TJ Watt lined up not on the outside a ton in that game.
Yeah, I noticed him in the middle, or he would start middle, and I noticed him start middle, and what was interesting is when he moved from the middle and didn't rush middle, he seemed to always drift right.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean,
end up going up against their left tackle, and he's usually going against, when he's lined up as with his hand in the dirt, he's always rushing their right tackle, but they would stand him up, put him in the middle, and he'd either come up the middle or attack the offensive left tackle.
Yeah, there was just they were changing things up in that regard. Because I haven't listened to the play-by-play to know if it was noted on TV or anything. That's just things that we noticed there.
Well, Kyle would tell you not to watch it on TV because he said, Romo's a jag.
Yeah. The other three takeaways. Do you think those were good? Do you think the credit there goes to good defensive plays?
I was actually starting to wonder if on the other two fumbles, if the Steelers recently haven't spent a little more time in practice attacking the football, because I did see them attacking and trying to knock balls loose more than what I'd seen in a while. And it paid off.
Yeah. I mean, the one play, it's funny because Jeff Hartman was asking, he's like, so that was a fumble and not an interception, the one that Joe Hayden dove for.
Yes.
Well, what was nice is there was no reason to review it, because whether it was a fumble or an incomplete, he came down with it.
Right. Either way.
The reason it's all about the official NFL scoring, which I had an article that's blown up on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll talk about that later, about how they do things statistically and problems with that. But for this, the statistics went down that he caught the ball and then fumbled. So it counted as a completion with the yards and the receiving yards and all that stuff. That's the only reason why, is because it was deemed on the field that he caught it in a fumble, and it really it didn't matter because the Steelers would go get the ball there anyway. Right. That I thought was a really nice defensive play. Cam Sutton stripped it, made a nice play on that one. Joe Hayden snagged it. Minka Fitzpatrick grabbed one out there. I'm trying to remember how that fumble was caused on the Fitzpatrick one that he recovered. Converted a third down is what it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who knocked it out. It might have been, let me see if I can find it real quick. Might have been Mollett.
Might have, you know what? I think you might be right. It might have been Mollett. Yeah. So,
because that was the first one, right? Was that the first fumble?
It was
Mollett.
Yes.
It was Mollett.
Okay, because if I go in and look at the stats, who else was given a forced fumble? Yeah, Mollett had the other one. So that, I thought that was a nice defensive play to do that.
It was that one in particular where I noticed that as Mollett came to make the tackle, reach clear around and went, a fist at the ball. And that was the start of the turnover onslaught by the Steelers.
Yes. And
now, can I say this though?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Joe Schobert interception.
Yes, that was what we were getting to next anyway.
Is it me? I'd actually have to go look some things up. Okay. But is it me, or is Taco really that much taller than our other outside rushers?
That
looks like he's pretty tall,
because he could actually play. People always say, "Oh, well, you're a 3-4 outside linebacker. Would they really be a defensive end in a 4-3?" The answer for Taco is absolutely.
Absolutely,
he would be. I could tell you here real quick. good old Taco Tuesday. His
hold on, my friend Bert from Maui brings up Taco long arms. Yes, tremendously long arms, and he long arms.
If I remember that, and he's 6'6".
Yeah.
So So if you think about that, he's got 2 inches on TJ Watt right there.
Right. So plus then the long arms. So he probably overall gets 4 or so inches, and then he got up pretty good. And just to get a hand on that ball and set it up in the air, and I'm sitting there thinking, yes, he batted it down because I think it was a 3rd down play. Hey, we're going to get the ball back. Next thing you know, it's in the other Scho Bros, in the Scho Bros hands running the other way. And of course, at that point in time, we jump up and are yelling and screaming. And I was screaming so loud and jumped up so fast, I almost passed out.
It's funny you said to me that you're like, well, I'm like, dude, I do that every time I come to a game. I jump up and start screaming, and then I get lightheaded.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, hey, careful there.
Because I'm just screaming as loud as I can. I will tell you this, Taco Chardon is the 2nd tallest defender on the Steelers.
Okay.
Who's the tallest?
Isaiah Loudermilk.
That's correct. Yeah, you probably were looking that up too.
No, I was not. I remember how tall he was when we drafted him.
Yes.
And doing my knee-jerk reaction to his drafting, having to look him up and see what he was.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing with Taco. He actually, if you like PFF grades or not, if you like him, great. If you don't, I'm kind of with you there too.
Understand that as well.
But I do the articles where I report the grades. He had the 3rd highest defensive grade for the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
The highest was Tuska. So Taco Tuska, as Jeffrey Benedict refers to the 2 of them. So the Steelers got quality play from both players. I mean, Tuska got a sack. I mean, because he got the strip. They didn't get the fumble. That would have ended the game right there. But when there was a holding penalty and it seemed like they were accepting it, I keep saying to him, like, that spot's not right. That spot's not right. That should be 2 yards further back. But then it made sense that they said the Steelers declined the penalty because it doesn't go to where they recovered it. It goes to where he fumbled it. So take the 8-yard loss in the down rather than the 10 yards. That was a no-brainer.
That ended up being a huge play.
Yeah, it did. And that helped set up to where I'm pretty sure it was was it the same set of downs that Hayden made the 4th down stop? I don't think they got a 1st down after that. No. So, the plays are a little bit, sometimes they're not as easy to remember where they occur in stadium because I'm looking at the same angle at all of them, if you know what I mean. Where at TV, sometimes you think about the replay angle and stuff like that, and you remember where they occur. There, we're just looking all together. But I thought the defense did a nice job of taking the ball away. Now, we're going to get ready to roll into the second part. To open up the second part, I know a lot of you in the live chat have brought up this topic. We are going to talk about a couple comments that Coach Tomlin made today, because there is some bigger news. Didn't even start off with news. We wanted to talk about our experience and our fun time being at the game and the stuff that went on. We'll still hit some more stuff from this game. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about the situation going on in Kansas City, and we're going to talk about the Steelers might have some help on the way. With some stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about in part 2. So if you're on the audio side, go ahead and click on over. If you're with us here on YouTube or Facebook Live, just hold on. We'll be back in a few seconds. Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to part 2 of the Scho Bro Show. This is Behind the Steel Curtain editor Dave Schofield, and with me, as always, is my big brother Rich. Rich, how's it going? You did it.
It's like I can't take that deep breath again. It was good, but it wasn't. It wasn't beating the Ravens worthy of the double breathing in.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But honestly, if you look at it, out of all the teams the Steelers have faced this season. Maybe I should even say all the teams that the Steelers have defeated this season. I don't know if that's the best way to say it. Who has the best record? Tennessee.
Yeah.
They're 9-5. I mean, who has the best record right now? Because even if you look at the NFC, you're talking about, I mean, they did not beat Green Bay, and then the other teams that they beat aren't up there. So this is if you look at it, you would think it would have been Buffalo the way the season was going to be, but that's not how it is right now. Tennessee's got one more win than Buffalo. So where they stand right now,
and as we've brought up, if the Steelers do not win that game and Tennessee wins, Tennessee would have been the current number 1 seed in the AFC
because they have the tiebreaker because they beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
So now that was a while ago before Kansas City got rolling. Now we're going to talk about Kansas City's situation. I'm afraid that some people are like, oh no, I teased something at the end of last section about help might be on the way. So I better clarify because I know some people are like, oh, the defensive line, maybe if they're going to, no, it's on offense. Okay. And that is whatever we know might have been a little bit of help. Last week, J.C. Hassenauer started his 21-day window to come back from the reserve injured list. He was not activated for the game, but he's going to continue to work his way back. They got another one. Coach Tomlin said it today. He kind of referred to it, and then he was asked straight up, and he answered it straight up. Kevin Dotson's window is starting tomorrow. He is going back to practice tomorrow. Would it be great to get Kevin Dotson back for this week? Yes, it would.
Yes, it would.
If they don't, and they don't get Kevin Dotson back to the following week, that's still really good because the Steelers' run game did not start the season well. It was getting better. If you want to look at when the Steelers' running game has struggled, look at when Kevin Dotson went out of the lineup. Jeffrey Benedict, he's our film guru guy. He's constantly feeding me film stuff. I'm constantly feeding him stat stuff. We do our Steelers Vertex article. Got one coming out tomorrow about Joe Hayden. But that I just realized there was something else I said we were going to talk about. I haven't talked about yet. So I got to get to that too. So
I was wondering about that.
About another article that I wrote that, Now, what were we talking about? Oh, the film and Kevin Dotson. He's like, Matt Canada's offense works so much better when you can run the ball at the middle. And the Steelers have only been able to run the ball at the middle when Kevin Dotson's on the field. So that's if he can get back out there. Now, the problem is, does he get back out there at 100%? Because you just don't know.
Right.
If that can happen. Okay. LeGlue started again at guard. He had a really high pass blocking score, not a very good run blocking score. That's the difference between LeGlue and Dotson. It's not that LeGlue hasn't done an honorable job filling in. And I still say he did better when he had to come off the bench when he didn't know he was starting, because you don't have to sit around and think about it. But I think he played better this week than he did the week before. But still not as good as he did in his first time out. But he did better pass blocking. Kevin Dotson is going to be that guy that actually I think he makes Kevin Green better on his right side, and I think he makes Dan Moore better on his left side. I think he makes the other guys around him better too.
Yeah.
So that would be big if they could get him there at for a stretch run. I know that would help Najee Harris some. I know people asked before what happened to Najee. He didn't really have one time we saw a hole open up where we were sitting.
Yep.
And they showed our angle then on the scoreboard. I don't know if they showed on TV. And you could see that he had the hole. And when he went through, he went to the right. He started through, but you saw the daylight. We had the perfect angle for it. There was nobody for about probably 2 yards wide, and he didn't go that way.
And if he'd have gone that way, he'd have gotten at least 5. The guy that stuck him probably still could have gotten a hold of him and taken him down, but he would have been doing it down around his legs, and Najee would have been a couple more steps and falling forward, and we'd have been. He'd have had another 5, 6, 7 yards probably.
I will also tell you this: the offense struggled. Najee Harris, he was in the bottom 5 of the Steelers' offensive PFF grades. But I will tell you this: if he's going to have a game where that's his output, and he didn't look to, I mean, he was on Jeff Hartman's losers list. I'm glad he did it in the W. Yeah. Once again, it all comes back to the W. Rough game. Great. Play better next time to help get a W on the next game. The guys had you covered enough to get the W this week. So the one thing I referenced in the first half, and I said, we'll get to this. The Steelers had 4 takeaways. Their worst starting field position was the Tennessee 41. And they moved into field goal range on that one. That was the first takeaway. And they did it on a strange play. On a play, I have to admit now, I'll say it here. I didn't say it in my article. I lost the ball. I even said, I'm like, where'd it go? I completely lost it during watching the play from where we were sitting. And I mean, I
did not, but there's a reason I did not. Okay. I didn't like what I was seeing, because that was at the far end of the field from us. I watched the play on the Jumbotron. I admit it. I watched that play on the I watched that play on the Jumbotron as it started to take place, and I knew where the ball ended up. So,
well, and the thing is, where my seats are, you can see the field of play and the Jumbotron at the same time. It's not like you're turning your head and looking away. It's great. It's great stuff. I still love the end zone view. I call it the all 22 view, the coach's view. Because when I was coaching, my goodness, it's been a long time since I coached football when I really did the math for it. But when I coached, I love standing, I was behind the huddle and then watched the offense develop from that view in practice. And that's just the way I've always liked it. But back to that play, Ben Roethlisberger does the little pop pass to Ray McCloud. So instantly right there, that's considered a pass. But they run it as a reverse, where Ray hands the ball off to Chase Claypool going the other way. So my article at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers, was about how Chase Claypool's yards per catch is, could potentially break the NFL's computers, because Chase Claypool didn't have a catch in this game. Yet he had 12 receiving yards because it was a receiving play and they gained 12 yards on the play. Go ahead, nerd. You going to nerd it out too?
Well, yeah, because someone hit it perfectly in the comments in your article.
Oh, well, I almost commented back on it, but
I actually almost did too.
Yeah.
And I was going to give them credit, and I forget.
Was it the one that was talking about the limit approaching for the positive versus the limit? See, and that's why it can't be either answer. Go ahead.
Yes, the limit. The limit as bounded as it approaches 0, and so technically the answer was he either gained infinity yards per catch.
Or negative
infinity yards per catch.
Because, for someone who
the math was
just teaching this to my daughter.
I loved I apologize for not remembering who put that in there, but I loved it because the math was spot on.
Yes. And it's exactly right. Because bottom line is, for those of you that are here, you're like, what is he talking about? I don't know. This is more of a Stat Geek. I know I'm going to talk about this on Stat Geek, but you can't divide by a 0, like I explained to both of my older kids when they're doing math, and they're like, well, my daughter's always like, well, which one's which? And she's talking about graphs. She wants to know about a vertical line versus a horizontal line. Well, which one's undefined and which one's no slope? I'm like, well, it's all about a 0 on the top or a 0 on the bottom. And she's like, huh? I'm like, if you have $0 and you're going to split it up to 5 people, how much money does all 5 of them have? They have $0. You can at least do that. But if I have $5 and I want to give it to 0 people, you can't do that, and that's how you remember. So it's the NFL's computers. They don't know what to put out. You put the number 0, that's wrong. It's not correct, but also you can't say infinity. It was just one of those weird statistical things that we pointed out, that Chase Claypool had 12 receiving yards on 0 receptions, which was actually just kind of fun. So yeah, because like Kathy says, 12 divided by 0 equals ? And like I say, if you think of it, it would be like a vertical line if you were to graph it. And you just can't, you can't determine that slope. You just can't do it. So we just went all nerdy there. So somebody asked in the live chat because they thought maybe I was referencing the return of Stephon Tuitt There's nothing was said about Stephon Tuitt today. Does anyone really think with 3 games left? Oh, there it was. It was a super chat. I knew that was there. Thank you, Steel Dog 88. $2 in the tip jar. Thank you, Big Bro, for finding that put up there. He says 3 weeks left. Official, we won't see Tuitt at all. Not official. It's not official.
Nope. It's not a fit. Not
but
official.
We need to think about
but according to the Scho Bros, yeah, we're not seeing Tuitt at all.
Yeah, we're not going to see Tuitt, unfortunately. So that's just what it is. So now there's a situation going on in Kansas City. I know some people were talking about various things in the live chat when they started. Oh, well, this is going on. That they are having basically what you could call a COVID outbreak. They have put a large number of players on the reserve / COVID-19 list. And they're all from positive tests. Now it's a whole new protocol now. The players can get back faster, things of that nature. But both Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are now on the COVID list. Tyreek Hill went on today, so that makes it really tough to get back for Sunday. The kicker's on there, and he's out. They've already said that.
Yep.
So, bottom line is, you can't complain if all these players show up back, because there's a different protocol. And bottom line is, I like that they put in a new protocol. The new protocol is basically saying, if you don't have symptoms, in other words, you're not sick, and if we can confirm that you're not going to make somebody else sick, there's no reason to hold you out. It makes sense. I mean, that's what they do in the healthcare field. I mean, they don't test doctors every day and things like that. The NFL actually modeled this after the in general healthcare. I know different, specific places might do things differently. I'm sure Kathy could probably tell us things that they do and things like that. And that it's just that's what the NFL based it off of. So you could see these players coming back. The thing is, what made the NFL postpone these 3 games that were postponed this week, 2 of which are going on right now? Rich,
money. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, true. Well, no, to me, it's I'm furious. JC Tretter's a joke. He's the president of the NFLPA, and bottom line is he used his position to try to get his team a better chance to win. He was like the only player left on his team for a while. I don't think if it's the Cleveland Browns, I don't think the push would have been made. I think he's had the wrong stance on this kind of stuff the whole time. And I think the only reason that got pushed through, and I have no problem saying that here. So JC, you can hit me up on Twitter. I already tweeted at you before, but you should resign in shame, because you used your power for your team. And that's not how representatives work. Someone that's just even as crazy as being on a softball board. I don't go in and make rules and move things around just for the benefit of my team. I have to do it for everybody. So I felt that the Raiders were really put in a hard circumstance there. They had to get off their plane, had everything messed around on them. All their travels messed up. They don't even know who they're preparing for. And good for them that they still won that game. And good for the Steelers, by the way. So that's that. So we don't know what's going on with Kansas City. But to me, the reason those games got moved, more the argument for it, was that players were still continuing to test positive. That's exactly why the Tennessee game got moved last year with the Steelers. That's exactly why the Ravens game got moved, is that they didn't know who else could possibly be causing a spread. So therefore, they didn't know that it was safe for them to reconvene. If that's the case, I'm not shocked if the Steelers game gets moved a day or 2. I really wouldn't be. But they have not hinted at that. That's just my own opinion.
Right.
You think there's a chance that this game doesn't get played till Tuesday?
I don't see it getting played on Sunday.
Yeah. So that's the difference. The Steelers don't play until Monday the next week, so that's not as terrible. But their opponent plays Saturday. The Browns play Saturday. So if you talk about the Browns, look at how much extra time they're going to get. That's the thing that bothers me, is that the Browns are already getting an extra day. You want to give them 2 more to give them 3 extra days to prepare than what the Steelers would have. I don't like that. Right. But we'll see. It's not a definite, if things calm down and, because I think there was 7 from Kansas City today that went on the list. I think there were 7 players. If you see where, maybe it's another 5 tomorrow, but then 1 or none the next day, then I think they're going to, and I don't think they'd move it till Friday. What do you think?
Yeah, they're going to wait as long as they can to make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at what happened to the Raiders. They were loading the plane to go, because you have to go the night before to go and travel to the game, and got said, hey, hold on. So, so it's a possibility, something that we should be thinking about. So, anything else from Tennessee, the game you want to talk about, or because we transitioned to talk about this with Kansas City, you ready to talk about the Chiefs a little bit?
I got one more thing about Tennessee game.
Okay.
Because you said we would bring it up, and that's what I thought you were talking about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The last offensive play that we saw for the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Because it happened.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
It again happened right in front of us. That play happened, and as I saw the line judge come up the sideline and start to go out to spot the ball, I think I was the person in the stadium that started the boos because I saw them come down and walk inside the 10-yard line before turning onto the field, and I knew Joe Hayden had not given up the 10-yard line. And then they started showing on the Jumbotron, and it was obvious Joe Hayden had not given that person even the 10-yard line, let alone let them pass it.
Mm-hmm.
So then, of course, I loved when, they took the measurement and it was really, 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 really close, and they called it short anyway, and Ryan Tannehill started throwing a fit, and then they announced it was being reviewed. I was like, an official review. I was like, oh, well, that's good for the Steelers. Send it to the official review, because that's actually going to move the football in the Steelers' direction more. So, and that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, well, and the fact that we're looking at it from the north-south angle, not the east-west. Because you think about it, they talk about, running back, you want to run north-south. We're looking straight down the field, and we could see that he wasn't at the 10. But here's the thing with Joe Hayden on that tackle. He tackled the ball.
Yeah, he did.
He put his shoulder in there and his hands in there. He didn't just tackle the man. He was going for the ball, not to rip it out, but to not let the ball move forward, even if he had the guy going back.
Yes.
That's a textbook tackle.
Yeah, and we had missed one of those earlier in the game where we had somebody two yards short, and we let them fight through and pick up a first.
Yeah.
But Joe Hayden did not allow that. So hats off, Joe. Hats off.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden played a third of the snaps. I mean, we're going to talk about stuff that happened with Joe Hayden in that Vertex article tomorrow with Jeffrey and I. They kind of changed what he was doing, because you noticed there for a while it was either Witherspoon or Hayden out there on the outside. Next thing you know, you're seeing them on the field at the same time. So their usage for Joe Hayden, they might have just been, hey Joe, or do you not feel total? Because he almost got burnt on that one long pass. But my goodness. We got to talk about this before we roll into Kansas City. This was something you were saying that was really frustrating about the Steelers defense, and it wasn't the way they were playing. It was their philosophy. Okay. Julio Jones went out. I was even asking Titans fans before the game, a couple of friends of mine that were at the game that were Titans fans, to say, name a Titans receiver. This was straight from Kevin Smith in the pregame show that he asked about this. He's like, name a Titans receiver that's going to play in the game, not named Julio Jones. Titans fans couldn't even come up with that. Was it Racey McMath? He was the one that I think fumbled. Was one of the names that was there. But they had these guys and they couldn't connect with them on long passes. But they were running the ball whenever they felt like it. I don't know why they weren't running more. You kept saying, stop playing zone. Match up man-to-man and use the extra guy to go stop the run.
Yep.
But they didn't do it.
Nope.
They didn't do it. So now...
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. But that's not something moving forward. That was just specifically for this game.
Yes.
How often are you going to be going up against, Baker Mayfield sucks, so maybe them, but at least he has, decent receivers that you can just say, you know what, they're not going to be able to pass on us. We might as well just sell out for the run. That's what teams have done to the Steelers early on, and will still continue to try to do.
Right.
So why not use that philosophy? That one, I am curious about that one. So Kansas City, the line is shrinking as the more players go on the COVID list.
Of course it's shrinking because the roster is shrinking for Kansas City.
Well, I mean, look at how the line moved with Tennessee. The Steelers were 2.5-point underdogs. Then it was hovering around 1. By the time the game started, they were 1-point favorites.
1.5.
Depending on where you look.
Depending on where you look, yes.
Yeah, depending on where you look. Point and a half. Crazy. Then I'm like, it moved that much. Okay. Steelers started as 10.5-point underdogs Sunday night because I went to write the article. I'm like, you know what? Monday morning before it ran, I'm going to check the numbers. I'm going to see if they change. And they did. They changed to 10 points. You know what it is now? According to DraftKings.com?
11 million.
7.5.
Okay.
7.5. So it's funny. Part of me is like, oh, yeah, take on the Kansas City Chiefs without Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Yeah. But you know what they're going to do if they don't have those two guys?
Run the ball.
They're going to run the ball every play. And that could spell disaster. But here we go. We're going to talk about this before we get into our scores. What more do you want? You got the win against Tennessee. This is the most difficult game of the season. If you win it, you put yourself not just in a really good position to get to the postseason, unless you completely screw up the North end of the year, but you there's no way the NFL could not pay attention to you if you were to beat the Tennessee Titans and I can't remember them, Kansas City Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. That couldn't be ignored. So this is a game, the way I look at it, it's not the last game of the season, but you can't hold anything back. You don't have to worry about it. You're supposed to lose this game.
Easy there, Dan Fouts.
Yeah. You're not supposed to win this one. If there's any game on the schedule, I mean, this is the biggest underdog they've been all season. If there's any game the Steelers aren't supposed to win, it's this one. Why not go out and take some chances? Freaking onside kick or something like that. Why not? Run a fake field goal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we want to do that again. Let Big Press throw it. Snap it. Just snap it to the holder. Let him get up and throw it. So something more like that. But this is a game that it's like reach into the bag of tricks. And if it doesn't work, you weren't supposed to beat the Chiefs anyway. And if it does work, guess what? Maybe you build some confidence that you can do some other things with this team. What are your thoughts?
I don't care. Just win, baby. It's. I love your idea.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like this Pittsburgh Steelers team would do that. Though.
It doesn't.
No.
Yeah. It doesn't. I'll be honest. I hope they, come in and shock the daylights out of me and do some of that, but I don't see it.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to this super chat first, but I got to say this, Bert. I'm not going to even bring up the comment, but I'm going to remind everyone again. Joshua Dobbs is on the injured reserve list. He went on the injured reserve list before the season started. He's not eligible to return. He can't play in 2021. So if you want to get creative with Dobbs, that's next season. It's impossible. It would be cheating on Steelers and losing of draft picks. You just can't do that. So we also got a super chat here from lifelong fan 07 said, what is the outlook considering all the injuries to the O-line, etc.? Thanks. Is that the Steelers O-line they're talking about?
I don't know.
Because I don't know anything going on with KC. To me, it's still about the Steelers have had struggles in the trenches based on players that they thought were playing this season that weren't available to them on both sides.
Yep.
Do you think that's fair?
Yes.
No Stephon Tuitt all year. Tyson Alualu goes down early. David DeCastro, they end up having to release him after minicamp because he wasn't going to be able to play this year. I mean, then Zach Banner wasn't able to, he had to set back to where they had to start to do something else with the O-line. I don't know about you. It was nice to see the Pro Football Focus grades. To me, it was kind of, does this confirm what I thought I was seeing in the stadium? I thought the tackles played well.
Yeah.
I thought the tackles played well.
They did.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I think I need to go back and check for sure. But I would have to say that I think Kendrick Green plays better with Kevin Dotson next to him. But we said that earlier. So Rich, going into Kansas City, big underdogs. This is a hard game to call. We're not 100% sure it's going to be played on Sunday. Hopefully it is. We're not 100% sure who's going to be playing for Kansas City. So this one's really tough. Once again, you have permission to change your score in the staff article.
Okay. What I would then also want to know is, typically Jeff gets the staff article ready and it would run Sunday morning. If we get an announcement on Friday or Saturday that the Steelers aren't playing till Monday or Tuesday, will we hold off on that so we can get an idea who's coming back for the staff article? But I will get mine ready. Right now, I'm going to make some assumptions that Kansas City is going to get a decent handful of these guys back. Mm-hmm. Kansas City's a tough place to go in and play. Always has been.
The Steelers have done well there. They have. But it's a really tough place to go play.
They've also gone in there and the Steelers have gone in there and done okay. But I'm trying to remember what it was because I can remember this game I was listening to on the radio. Again, when we lived in Williamsburg, I was actually out on the Jamestown ferry crossing the James River. And the Steelers should have beaten Kansas City in Kansas City, and we did not.
Was that when Ben Roethlisberger wasn't able to come back from injury and it was Landry Jones, and Kansas City had a really poor record, but then won like every game the rest of the season to make the playoffs?
Maybe.
That would have been around, I can't remember.
All I can tell you is
14 or 15. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
No, but it had been before that.
Might have been before 13.
And maybe before that.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I got my current Jeep in 14, and I was in the other Jeep when we were on the ferry, and I'm trying to remember exactly how old the kids were. They weren't all that old, so those kinds of things scare me. And you'd like to think, so for me, I'm even scared if Kansas City doesn't get guys back. Do we just go in and think it's going to be easy and lay an egg?
I don't think there's anything with this team that thinks it's going to be easy in Kansas City.
I don't think this team should ever think anything is going to be easy. They should not take anything for granted, but could they? I don't know. If you're ready for my score, I'll tell you what I feel is going to end up.
Ready for your score? Now, you'll say yours. I'll then put it in the live chat for everyone else to put theirs. So load yours up in the live chat if you're ready. Just don't hit it yet. Don't hit it. All right. Yet.
So Steelers fight hard, but I think Kansas City in the end just got a little too much offense for the Steelers to deal with. I'm going Kansas City 30, Steelers 24. I'll give the Steelers 24 only because I think they could do that.
Yeah, and all right, I went ahead and put the scores out there for you all to put them in there to bring them up. I will have to say, Coach Tomlin said today in his press conference when Kansas City's lost, they've lost 4 games, and was it 4 games? Yeah, I think it's 4 games. That most of the games that they've lost, I think at least 3 of them, their opponents scored over 30 points. Coach Tomlin admitted 19 points is not going to win a game in Kansas City unless it's a real non-traditional game, if you know what I mean. It would have to be some crazy. Man, people were ready. I've got to get to this.
I will say one more quick thing. If the Steelers go +3 or better on turnovers again, that's where if the Steelers go +3 in turnovers, if you have to bank on that to win, then that's really hard. That's really difficult to pick them to win, because I wouldn't pick. Well, that's why I'm not picking them to win, because I'm not figuring them. I'm agreeing with you. Although I will say this: other games that Kansas City has lost, they have been big on turning the ball over when they've lost games.
Yes, they have. All right, let's roll through some of these. Brian Brown, 17-16 Steelers. Boz as time runs out. Okay. Sean Manahan, 24-17 Steelers. Okay, Steel Dog 88 says 28-13 Chiefs. Hope I'm wrong. Yeah. I think we all do. I'm not blaming anyone that's picking the Chiefs. That's the logical choice. It doesn't mean you want the Chiefs to win. People that think your pick has to be who you want to win. No. Get with it. That's not how it works. No. That's not how it works. It's going to be real interesting to see if Jeff Hartman picks the Steelers in this one. I've all my time with Jeff predicting scores, he has never not picked the Steelers. That'll be interesting. Kathy Ford says Steelers 31, Kansas City 27. Hopefully they play for you on Sunday, Kathy. Okay. BF Bud says 37-23 Chiefs. Hope I'm wrong. Another hope we're hoping they're wrong. Steeler Chick 46 says Steelers 28, KC 24. Okay, there we go. Brian Blackstock says 27-26 Steelers. TJ stuffs Mahomes at the end to kill a late rally. Ooh, you got to remember, TJ Watt is going to be coming into the game, not coming off of an injury, and apparently, hopefully healthy. That whatever happened at the end, Coach Tom didn't even mention it today. Sorry, Coach Tomlin didn't specify that very well. Didn't even mention in his press conference today about any problems with TJ, because he came out for a play or so. So a healthy TJ Watt, Steelers win games. So it would be really nice, but this would be a big one. Stacy Lynn says 27-24 Steelers. Dion Eaton says 27-24 KC. Okay, Thaddeus Kennedy. Thaddeus. Wow, look at that picture. You like that one, don't you, Rich? He says 42-15 KC wins. See, now that's the game that I don't want to see.
No.
I want the Steelers to make it close and to cover. The question is, will they win the game?
Because
you can take some stuff away from the game, even if you don't win, if you at least can get some stuff going well. What's up?
Thaddeus, I saw your question earlier about fish. I will get in touch with you over the next couple of days here at some point. Please send you a text or something and tell you what's up. So good to see you out there. Good to see you out there, Thaddeus. It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while since Thaddeus has been able to join us on the live chat.
Good to see you in the live chat. Steelers Pittsburgh 9-6. That would be the Steelers. Micah says Chiefs 35, Steelers 16. That's another lopsided one. Demetrios, I'm leaving it at that. Unfortunately, he says 31-17 KC. Russ says KC 38-21. Okay. Is that Gene? Gene fan?
Jeannie?
I don't know. Jeannie? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's how my mother-in-law spells her first name, and it's Jeannie. I don't know. I've never actually written her name down. 30-27 Steelers.
Good thing she doesn't listen to our podcast.
They would have to have internet to do that. No one 28-17 Chefs.
That's funny. I almost said chefs when I said mine.
Because of the great googly moogly.
Great googly moogly. Not
going anywhere for a while. Okay. Moneybag says, pray I'm wrong, 30-20 KC. It skipped ahead on me. Patricia Castaneda. I hope I did all right on that one. 23-20 Steelers. Okay. Faustino Flores says, if Tennessee can whip them, why not the Steelers? 27-24 Steelers. I like that. Outside Steeler fan says, good guys 38, Kansas City 36. Boz with game-winning kick. I think you're right. I think the Steelers are going to have to put up points. I think if the Steelers want to have a chance to win this game, I think they need a non-traditional touchdown. They need a special teams or defensive touchdown.
You know what? Good chance.
Is what it's going to be. Mark Tobin says 30-21 Steelers win. Most toes. That's how I'm going to say it. 35-21 KC. Pitt gets behind early as usual and can't catch up. Kansas City Coach Tomlin mentioned that today. They get up on teams early. They jump up 10, 14 points right away. He says that, and that's key that they can't let them do that. Lifelong Fan 07 says 17-10 Steelers if Kelsey and Hill don't play. Okay, I can see that. You're welcome, Kathy. BMK, Bully Mob Kennel, was messaging him while I was sitting in my seats a little bit during the game. 24-21 Steelers. Hopefully Najee has a game and keeps the ball out of Mahomes' hands. That would be nice. I tell you what, I'm not looking for Dotson to be back this week, but if he was, I think that would make a difference. Steelers Freak says 21-14 Steelers. Ben rushes for 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love those kind of predictions. I'm looking for, okay, here's one. Richard Adamson says Steelers 35, Chiefs 21 with help. George Teston says Steelers 24-15. Okay. That would be it would be a huge win for Steelers. Bert Tavares, I thought he was heading out, but it's good to see him still here. Overtime, 20-27 Steelers. There's only one problem. You don't win by 7 in overtime.
Can't win by 7 in overtime.
Yeah. So we'll amend that for you. It's either 21-27 or 20-26 because they don't kick the extra point if someone scores a touchdown. Jesse Moreno says we win 28-27. Boy, that would be a good one. Still looking to see if there's any more. You guys are really coming through with a lot of scores here tonight. That's great. The truth is 26-24 Steelers. I think they specifically had their screen name be that just so I had to say it in that way. That's a good one. Looking. I think that might be it.
There's one.
Is there another one? If you got, I hadn't made it that far. They're getting. I'm not even going to try.
You're allowed to mess. You're allowed to mess that one up bad because of the score they put.
Exactly. They said Chiefs 33-3. That would be a wake up call, but Steelers don't need a wake up call now. They need to get out there and get stuff done. G's NSOM 27-24 Steelers.
No, 24-20 Steelers. You can't read.
I can. You know what? I can't read. I'm trying to look at it. What did he say? I was trying to go from memory. 24-20 Steelers. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. So I think that's all. Someone said Chris Jones hasn't played for a while. He's supposed to be back this week. Is another one of those things. This is a tough game. This is to call because you don't know who's playing for Kansas City. But even if they're missing guys, you still don't know how the Steelers are going to play. Mike Tomlin admitted to get today. He's like, we haven't played well on the road. They've got to play well on the road. They've got to go into Kansas City day after Christmas. Hopefully it's the day after Christmas and give them all they've got. This is what's so neat about this game, in my opinion. If the Steelers win this game, then they just seem like a different team.
Right.
Even if it's an ugly win, because even if it's another ugly win like they had last week, you're like, hey, this team is finding a way to win at the end of the season. That was a problem last year. They had some ugly wins in the middle of the season, but then they just couldn't find a way to win at the end. So find a way to win if you can, but more importantly, go out there and play hard. Give it all you got. So I'll have my prediction on the Steelers preview on Thursday. Make sure you are checking everything out. We shouldn't have any change of schedule the way the holiday's falling. I'm not 100% sure about what's going on with Tony in the six pack, if he might be going at a different time on Christmas Eve or something else. But we should have a Christmas Day show with the blokes because it'll already be
because they're past Christmas.
It'll already be the next day. I don't know if they do Boxing Day in Australia or if that's a Canadian thing. I can't remember where Boxing Day is, which is the day after. So that'll be interesting. So just remember, this team beat the Buffalo Bills to start the season. They beat the Tennessee Titans last week. They're capable of grinding out these games. We'll just see if they can get it done this week. Rich, what do you want to say to send us out here?
Hey, I hope everybody out there has a great Christmas.
Yes.
Because that's definitely happening before the Steelers' next game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly when the Steelers' next game will be, but it will be after Christmas. We know that much. So I hope everybody gets the opportunity to enjoy some time, and hopefully on the day after Christmas we can enjoy some Steeler football, and extra much want to come back and breathe in that sweet smell again next week. And you know what I have to say about that?
Yeah.
Can't wait.